Hey, y'all. This is not the right time for this Saturday's live stream. So I thank you guys for being here that are here. And I think we're going to have it's just going to be us tonight. There's not going to be a lot of us here because it is an unusual time. And there's those other guys out on right now. So, there's some conflicts going on. But I had too much going on today to try and do the 3 p.m. stream. But I wanted to come to you and share with you what I've learned this week. A few things that came up in helping folks. Some of this stuff is going to be basic and elementary, and a lot of you are going to be like, yeah, I'm not putting a number down for that because I already knew that. Yeah, and I knew that too. But there's going to be a few things in here that I bet you that none of you have ever seen before. But tonight's going to be probably a fairly short and informative stream, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that might come up or any general questions after we're done here. But the reason I did not get to do 3 p.m. is my patrons are fully aware of my situation, and I'm remodeling the house. This house has been a church for 30 years. And it's not livable as a residence. And so I'm having to turn it back into a residence. And it's been kicking my butt. And I'm trying to pay for it as I go and do it myself. And, well, I hit some roadblocks financially and mentally and emotionally. And just, well, today I had some assistance and much needed. Sometimes that's what all you need is you just need somebody to come kick you in the butt and help you get something done. And I got that kick in the butt today, and we got a lot done today. Got most of the electrical done. One or two things left to do. Got a lot of the walls, the interior walls of the bathroom redone, the shower surround and all that. Got a lot of that accomplished. I got to work on putting the floor down tomorrow and get the sink, cabinet, basin, and all set in place so I can get the plumbing finished. But a lot of progress was made today, and if I would have stopped doing what I was doing to go live at 3, it would have just train wrecked the entire day's production that I got done. And I just had to stay with it. I had to stay with the remodel. But I have helped some folks out this week, and I'm going to go over a few of those things and also share with you my experiences this week. And hopefully they'll be, like I said, fun, informative, enlightening. I don't know. In the thumbnail, what did we say? I was talking about the different framing types. I was helping, and I don't know if Kilroy's in the stream tonight or not. I haven't looked to see who all was in here, but I helped Kilroy out this week with a design. I'm looking to see if I see his name in here. And he wasn't sure about the different framings. He said, I don't know what this is about. Why one's square and one's round? And if you don't fully understand those two, we'll go over those real quick. The round one is what they refer to as the rubber band frame, and it can be your friend, especially when you're working with material like this. You're trying to get utilize your waste. The rubber band frame can trying to make sure you've got everything just right. Because I don't trust my camera, because all the variations I use with the different thicknesses of material, you have to have a different calibration for every thickness of material if you want your camera to be precise. So I use the framing tool and don't even use the camera at all. So we're going to look at the difference and explain what those differences are, if for no other reason, so that Kilroy understands the difference between frame and rubber band frame. And a few nights ago, I mentioned the flood fill, and people were like, what's flood fill? Where, what? And one of the designs that I did this week I had to use the flood fill in order to save some considerable amount of time. So I want to show you that and show you the differences on that project using the preview screen on how to see what, if you're just doing your regular fill, how long would it take? How long would it take with the offset fill? And then compare it to the flood fill and see just how much time savings there is between the three. And whatever else that comes up along the way. I don't need this anymore. So I did a few, I tried to get as much done in the house as I could this week, and it never happened until today. And while I fully intended to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, work 4 days straight on the house, it just never happened. But something always presented itself like this. These are all your t-shirts. I sent everybody an email regarding your t-shirt. They're boxed up. The postage is bought. I sent you your postage, your tracking numbers, but I didn't get out of the house today to go to the post office to get these dropped off. So they'll go out in the mail on Monday. But the shirts got in, so I wanted to get those out and get those sent out to everybody who's waiting on them. And while I was at breakfast the other day, I overheard a gentleman's name that I knew and respected. And the conversation was about him passing. And I'm like, and I finally just realized at my age, I'll be 56 this year. I'm going to more funerals than I am going to parties, and I guess the older you get, the more that's you wake up in the morning and look in the obits just to make sure your own name's not in there. But I heard them talking about Joe, and I was like, oh man, Joe's passed. And he was the captain or the leader of our local honor guard. Anytime a vet has a, graveside service and he gets full honors, he gets military, burial, the honor guards who shows up and does the flag presentation to the family, does the gun salute and all that stuff. Well, he was the captain of the local honor guard, and just a really, really swell guy. He was 90 years old. He lived a good full life, but hate to lose anybody. And when I heard that, it's like, okay. And at my uncle's funeral, they presented the flag to my aunt. And she, okay, all right. Well, what you do with the flag? And I said, well, I was going to go buy Joe's family a display case for the flag, and then memorialize it with his information on the case. And I contacted the funeral home, and this particular funeral home, she actually provides a case, whether it's built into the cost of the service or she just gives it to him. I don't know. But I told her, I said, well, I want to memorialize it. I want to put his information on there. And she said, well, what's it going to cost? I said, it ain't going to cost you nothing. I knew Joe. I respected Joe. And I want to do this for you. And not just for Joe, but from now on, if you have any, vet services that come up, if you're providing the box, then, let me make some nice, plaque to go on there. And I put his insignias on either side of the plaque, and we'll show it to you in a minute. Retired U.S. Army, and then his rank and name. And I'm going to contact a few of the other funeral homes I know in the area and tell them the same thing. Because honestly, I can make that out of the scrap material that I've got laying around. And it's going to take me just a couple of minutes to put it together. And especially if you're going to do this, you can have a template set up. You just pull up a template, put in the information, and don't take you no time to do it. Won't cost you a thing because you're making it out of scrap. So I'm challenging every one of you laserologists. If you guys are local, I see, I think Jack's here. I think I've seen Ed in here. I've already talked to Black and Wisnet. Kay's the one who's doing Joe's funeral. And Scott Green, I'm good friends with him. I'll go see Scott Green. But I challenge every one of you guys to go to your local funeral homes And if it's a vet's service, offer to, make a memorialized plaque, and something nice. You can get the big regulation, the big full size flag display cases from Hobby Lobby for about $25 if you wait and get them when they're on sale. They're on sale every other week. Everything at Hobby Lobby is on sale every other week. They're normally like $50, $52, but you wait, you can get them for 25, 26 bucks. So do that. You got time. Don't take any time at all to do it. Do that for your local vets. And also, my great uncle passed, and at the service there, and I didn't know this. The funeral home had made this great big old huge tapestry. That was a photo, I think, of their 50th wedding anniversary of him and his wife. And she wanted a tapestry hanger, a way to hang that on the wall. And this was this week. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I Googled a few tapestry hangers, and I come up with a design where I took 2 5-foot solid oak 1x3s, drilled them, stacked them together, and drilled them in 6 different places, put a threaded 1/4-20, insert on one side of it, and had the threaded starred, fasteners to go, to fasten them together. Cut mirroring slots in those slats. And then in one of the slats, glued a dowel rod that went all the way across it, so that when you put the tapestry up into place, the 2 pieces of oak sandwiched together, one's got a dowel rod that poked into the receiving opposing slot that caused it to bite onto the tapestry. And then you bolt all that together. And then I put some nice decoration pieces on top of those fasteners. And I'll show you pictures of that too. So if you've been in Hobo with Wood or Facebook group, you've already seen it, but that turned out really, really nice. And I didn't, and what I'm about to tell you, I'm not telling you so that I sound, I'm not telling you to promote myself. I did all those things for free. Those were, 5.5 or 6 foot pieces of solid oak. And then plus I used solid cherry to do the decorations, the hardware. I probably had $150 tied up in just making that tapestry. I gave that to her. I did that for the funeral home for free. I'm doing my best to try and get my stuff taken care of. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I told you that I didn't worry about my needs. My needs are always met. Well, one of you, and I'm not going to bother calling them out, one of you contacted me this week and said, hey, we want to bless you, and we're going to send you a $100 gift card for Lowe's to help. So it washed itself out almost. So that's why I didn't know that, but I wanted to do something nice, and my needs are provided. So don't be selfish. Think of others, do for others. And let's take a look here. Let's see. I'll show you. Now, some of you may have seen this. He was Sergeant Major or Master. I'm sorry, Master Sergeant. How do you spell Sarge? Hey, Sarge, what's up? Sarge, S-A-R-G-E, Sarge. Not knowing I spelled Sergeant, S-A-R. And I looked at it, and that wasn't what I was even looking at for being spelled wrong, because I was checking everything else. Because Sarge is S-A-R. Then whenever I was looking at the DOD's site and getting the insignias, I said, wait a minute, Sergeant's S-E-R? So this one I'm getting ready to show you is the one that I spelled wrong. I had to go back and do it again second time to correct it. But this is, and I'm going to show you how easy this is to set up. But, a nice little plaque with mirroring angles to offset the angles of the display case, and has his insignias on there. And that looked really, really good. And then here is the oak and cherry display, or the uh, hanger that I made for her, and engraved the cherry on top of the oak. And that turned out really, really nice. I was really pleased with the way that turned out, and the family loved it. It turned out really nice. That made for a good week. And then today got a whole lot done on the house. So it's been a very productive week, and I'm thankful for it. So I Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I get a drink here. I dropped the latest design, which is also a piece that I designed and gave to my great aunt. If you haven't seen that video, it's this image here. It's a really cool piece. It's a woman sitting on a swing, and she's by herself, but there's the silhouette, or not a silhouette even, it's the outline of the fellow who's no longer with her. And I need to go to here and here. Here we go, and switch. So this was the design that I made and gave to her. He's with her in spirit only, and that was a really nice piece. And I've got that on hobowithwood.com. But hopefully you've seen that and learned some stuff from that video. But this design is where I'm going to show you the differences between the feels, between the regular feel, the offset feel, and the flood feel. And look at the difference in the time savings. And you can see this in preview and see what it's doing when it does what it does and why it saves so much time. The flood feel can give you really, really good results. The offset feel, even when you increase the LPI, like I had mentioned to you in some of the other streams, even doing that, sometimes you can get some unusual burn patterns, and sometimes it just adds more character to the piece. And it's not bad. But if you look at it, you're like, man, I really just don't like that. I just want a nice uniform burn. But then flood feel is what you're going to want to wrap your arms around and embrace it. And we're going to look at that. And we've doubled in numbers. So thank you, everybody, for being here. This is not the usual time for this stream. I'm going to, and in fact, let me put this up here just in case we got any new folks here. If you got any questions that arise during the stream about any subjects that I'm talking about, precede your question with 3 question marks, and then your question. If you just have a comment that you want to go, hey, dum dum, why don't you try this? Put 3 exclamation points on there and say, hey, dum dum. No, put 3 exclamation points on there. And by preceding your question and your comment with those, they jump out at me in the stream, in the comments, and I'll acknowledge it. So follow those instructions, and I will not miss your question. If you don't do that, I may accidentally move it or miss it because I'm just trying to move through the comments quickly. So back to the comments. I want to get through here and see if anything that's popped up. Like, there we go. Jeff says, I've heard there are 3 stages in adulthood. The first is going to weddings, the second to the birth, and the last is to funerals. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And for some of us, weddings and funerals, they kind of go hand in hand. I mean, you get dressed up and part of you dies. Not a whole lot of difference in some of it. Let's see here. Don't forget to like, share, and go gold. Yes. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. All right. I don't see Kilroy in here tonight. If he's not here tonight, he'll be watching the replay, because this that I'm going to show about the framing in a few minutes is really based on questions that arose when trying to help him. All right. I'm going to mark this spot in the comments and then go over here to LightBurn. And let's open up Chuck says, where can I find? Oh, I'm going to show you all that. I'm going to show you every bit of that. We're going to go over that. Actually, we're going to go over it right now. So I'm going to open this design that I had, the Love Always. All right. Now, in fact, the photo I showed you is just one of these 4 versions. The Love Always design, when you download it, it has 4 versions of that. You can engrave it with the spirit of the man in the swing or the spirit of the woman in the swing. And you can download either the man or the woman in the swing with or without the spray of leaves on either side. So there are actually 4 different versions of that design in that file when you download it. So you got here with the spray around it and these without it. And here's the spirit of the man and here's the spirit of the woman. So, but now let's get these out the way and get this out the way. And I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to group it, put it in the bottom. All right. Now, when I look at this, and I'm going to put this on actual settings that I would use for feel on this. I go low and slow, 720 and 9% power. And let's put it in feel and in a line at 720 and 9%. 720 and 9% power, and say okay. All right. So now I've got the engraving set up. In fact, I'm even going to turn off the cut layers. We're only going to be talking about the amount of time that it takes to engrave that perimeter piece around that artwork. And like I said, these are real settings, real measurements, times, and power settings that I would use with the 10-watt diode if I want a really dark, and deep engraving. So let's turn off the output for the red layer. And so now when we look at this in the preview, I'm showing 2 hours and 35 seconds. 2 hours. 2 hours to engrave that piece. And here I've got, if you're not aware of this, this is a toggle switch that turns on and off your traversal moves. A traversal move is represented in red. And anytime you see red, the laser is moving, but not firing. The laser is moving, but not firing. So the laser has had to traverse that entire piece. And if we look back at it here, you see it just starts at the bottom and just starts scanning up and does a feel. This is a feel that all of you are going to be familiar with. This is what you see 99% of the time. But let's see here. Teresa, I'm a little bit off topic, but it's a great topic. And let me show you. If you go to the website, hobowithwood.com, close that and go to the home page. Adopt a hobo. I don't want you to bring me home and feed me. Well, maybe, but that's not this kind of adoption. If you go to hobowithwood.com and go to the Adopt a Hobo page, I'm going to turn your comment off. If you go there are the different ways that you can donate. You can go over to Patreon and become a regular monthly supporter. You can go to PayPal and do through PayPal, but Zelle is a great way to do this. And Zelle is what Teresa's asking about. If you go to Zelle and you use the email hobowithwood@gmail.com, that's how you can find me. And for folks who don't know, when you use Zelle, to send money to friends, family, loved ones, or even if just to pay a bill. I pay for all of my shirts when I have my shirts done. I pay my screen printer using Zelle because I can hit the Zelle button and pay him in full. It goes directly to his bank account. He receives it usually in minutes, and there are no processing fees. It doesn't cost me anything to use Zelle, and doesn't cost him anything to receive the money in Zelle. So if he charges me $100, he gets $100, not 97. They don't take 3% out of it for processing. So go to the hobowithwood.com and the Adopt a Hobo page for the donation options. So thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Now back to Chuck's question. Teresa says, I've got the email, but my Zelle asks for your first name and last name and email. Usually it's just first and last or email. But last name, I'll put it in the comments for you. Fortner, Fortner. And see, I don't even know how. My name's actually Steven, Steven, but I don't know how that's even in Zelle. If it's Steve or Steven, I don't. But it should work with just the email. It should. But regardless, I don't want to have you have any roadblocks. So I spelled it out there for you, Fortner, Fortner, because in school, especially in grade school, you get those ridiculous substitute teachers in there, and they always call the roll by last name, and I could almost count on it. They wouldn't say Fortner, partner. I'm like, come on, really? You're going to do that to a kid in 6th grade, 7th grade? All right. Back to Chuck's question and back to the fields. So Chuck asked, well, where can I find the fluid fill or it's actually flood fill and the offset fill. So let's go back over here and switch. So this was the regular fill. And if I close this preview screen, and right now I'm in multi-mode because when I do if I want to really clean fill, I will do the engraving and then do a sub layer with a line after fill to really clean up those edges and make it really tight. And there's the fill option. Well, right here in the mode section, you have a drop-down menu that you can select for offset fill. Now, we were at 2 hours and 35 seconds to do this. If I switch this to offset fill, and I want to make sure that I've got a good high, if you know your laser, you know what your laser's advertised spot size is. When you use offset fill, my recommendations is that you use a line interval smaller than your spot size. The advertised spot size for my laser is for the Rolly MK2 is a 0.08. And that's about true for just about any diode out there, especially a 10 watt. They usually advertise it at a 0.08 spot size. So when I'm using the offset fill, I will go to a 0.07. And that gives me 362.86 lines per inch. Now, the reason I'm doing that is if my spot size is a 0.08 and I'm moving only 0.07 for each time it's doing a line, then it's slightly overlapping the previous line. And then, so that avoids any voids or vacancies or unengraved areas as a result of doing the offset fill. Because when you do offset fill, this is what you get. So I've got offset fill. I've got the same speed and power. All I've done is change the fill types. And when I look at the preview, it cut it from 2 hours to 1 hour and 7 minutes. And traversal moves is still on. You don't see all of the red. There is no wasted energy. That's why instead of 2 hours and 35 seconds, you're down to 1 hour and 7 minutes. But let's take a look. We'll zoom in here and take a look at this and see how this laser moves this on an offset fill. instead of it scanning from right to left all the way up until it's filled, that laser is going to move. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move in nice and tight. And I'm going to show you the difference. There, if I bring this back and hit play, that laser is stepping away ever so slowly and filling that entire area. Because I'm using a 0.07 spot size, it's overlapping ever so slightly. Then it jumps out and it starts doing the next piece. And there it's doing its first, engraving on that outer perimeter. And it'll do that whole thing. And now it just stepped down and moved out a little bit. And it's going to do the same thing. And it'll continue to do that until it's filled the entire area. Now, the reason I do that smaller than spot size is if I go back to that same thing, I'm using the offset fill, and I put a lot of times you'll see folks who are doing a 0.1. They'll use, because typically if you're doing just a regular fill, a 0.1 works okay, which is 254 lines per inch. It doesn't look terrible, especially if you're moving at higher speeds and higher power. The higher the power, the more burns going on. It works. It's okay. So a lot of people will use that 0.1 or 254 lines per inch. But when you do that and you use offset fill and say, okay, and now I go in here to preview. See all these funky lines that's going on, and see, this is actually an area that doesn't get engraved. This right here gets skipped, and it can leave some unwanted voids in, and also this area right here, it forms a little bit of an X where they come to a point. It just doesn't look as good. So you got a big void here in the middle of that. So if you're going to use offset fill, you need to increase your LPI so that you can eliminate these possibilities. And that's the difference between fill and offset fill. And we went from 2 hours to 1 hour. We cut the time in half, even with the increased LPI. Now let's take a look at flood fill and what it does and what kind of time savings you can expect. So let's close this preview, and I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to put it back in, not line, I'm going to put it back in fill here. All right, but right here, advanced. This is your common tab. Here's your advanced tab. You click on advanced, and here is your flood fill option. Flood fill. You turn that on and say, okay. Now let's go back. Advanced, I'm in flood fill, and I still have my line after fill, and I'm still at the same 720 and 9. 720 millimeters a minute and 9% power. Same thing here. So I have not changed the speed or power on either of the first two or this one. We went from 2 hours and 35 seconds to 1 hour and 7 minutes. Now with the flood fill, preview, 54 minutes. Not a huge savings in time between offset fill and flood fill. But offset fill, you've got to increase your LPI, and you can still sometimes get some unique intersection points where the offset fill meets with the different areas of the design. Sometimes it adds character to it, and sometimes it's less desirable. But with flood fill, this is what you get. You saved some time. You didn't save but maybe 10 minutes. But with flood fill, the way it works, and you look, I still have my traversal moves turned on, and you do not see any red. Just, it's not completely painted red. You've got this, a couple of traversal moves here and there, but it's not a solid, you don't have a lot of wasted energy, and that's why you have hardly no time in this engraving. And when we look at the flood fill, what it does play. And we'll speed it up just a little bit. There's 10 times. So it's going to feel that area of the image just like it would if it was doing your regular feel, but it might jump back and forth around on the design because it's going to the area that it in its closest proximity. LightBurn does the math to figure out where it can do it and do it the most efficient and the quickest and the least amount of time. So now you've got all of this going on. And because it is just doing your x-axis, you have a uniform burn, and it really can save you a tremendous amount of time using flood fill. Where this comes in handy is on really big pieces like that one. That was done on a 300 by 300 piece of material, and that outer perimeter of the frame encompassed that entire outer perimeter. And as you've seen in regular fill, it's scanning that entire thing, and it's 2 hours. Here with flood fill was 54 minutes. So flood fill can be a really, really neat tool to learn how to use. And what I recommend doing, because it doesn't take but a second to switch from fill to flood fill or offset fill, try those different options. Then use your preview screen like I'm showing you here to see the estimated time for your engravings. And you might spend 3 to 5 minutes testing which one's the most efficient. But if you can cut your engrave time from 2 hours and 35 seconds to 54 minutes, it's worth 3 to 5 minutes of testing to see which one's going to be faster. So that's the difference between fill, offset fill, and flood fill. Looking for any questions, any comments. Bob says change your LPI back. Okay, yep. And actually, with the flood fill, I might would even do it at 254. But let's put it back to the 0.08, because that's only time I go less than 0.08 is on offset fill. So 0.08 in flood fill, switch, 0.08 advanced flood fill, okay, preview. So, okay, 1 hour and 6 minutes. So there, the difference between offset fill and flood fill is practically the same. They're no different in time, but the offset fill could possibly generate unwanted intersection points with those way that it engraves, and the flood fill is going to be more uniform and consistent. So flood fill might still be your preference. Now, when I was doing the leaves, when I did the one with the spray of the leaves on there, I want you to see this, because this is, I actually like this. I need to bring that back in because I deleted all those. So we're going to say new. No, I don't want to save anything. And let's bring that back in here. And I'm just going to grab this guy and we'll do this one in preview. Turn off the red, no output, no show. We're going to go back over here, and I'm going to change this back to offset fill, which is how I've got it saved. I've got it at 0.07 because when I do offset, I'll do it less than. Here I've got different speeds and powers, but what I want to show you now is the intersection, how these look. Now go to preview. It's removing overlapping lines, taking a minute, think about it, figure it out. But now, and that don't look bad, but when we zoom in here, see all this that's going on? You're going to see that with your design. You're going to see that. And with that being where the leaves are sprouting out from the frame, I actually did not hate that. I actually liked the way that looked. And this is one of those cases where I was talking about. Sometimes it can add more character to the piece. So I recommend, don't do it on a great big 300 by 300 piece. Maybe play with it and experiment and learn those and check them out and see how those different results and what to look for. And I think you'll like all those options. Oh, there he is. There's Kilroy. Kilroy, what I'm getting ready to talk about now, you inspired because while I was helping you with the lantern, you were making comments about the different framing, the circle frame and the square frame. You didn't understand the difference in them. Well, we're going to show you the difference here and why the circle frame can be one of your best tools that you want to be familiar with. But we're going to talk about that right now. I'm glad you made it. I knew you would be. I knew you'd make it. I called you out earlier and you wasn't in the stream yet, but I'm glad you're here. Chris says flood fill is one of the tools I know, but forget to check a lot of time. Yeah, I don't go to flood fill usually except on large perimeter burns. Anytime that I know that my laser is going to have a tremendous amount of traversal moves that is wasted time and wasted energy, then I will check the flood fill. Because if the flood fill, it eliminates all the traversal moves. It's in the flood fill, it's moving, it's engraving, practically. So on a large piece where I've got a lot of traversal moves with no energy coming from the laser, flood fill can be your friend. So put that in the back of your quiver and try to remember that. All right. Now, let's talk. And again, this might be something that's just basic. And then again, a lot of you may be like Kilroy. It's like, wait a minute. I see those two and they're both framing. Well, what's the difference? Well, let's close that. And in fact, I'm just going to go new. I'm going to go new screen. Don't want to save nothing. Discard. All right. Question mark before I start. So on this project, how can you do flood fill on the circle and offset? You can't. Well, you could if you broke them out and put them on different layers. There's always another way, and you could do that. You could break the leaves up and put them on a separate layer using the offset fill to do those and flood fill to do the rest of the perimeter. But with the flood fill, with the offset fill, the actual perimeter where it's just moving around the circle, you didn't really get any unusual results. It was only where there's intersecting lines where the leaves branch off or where that heart was at. So there wasn't anything about that design with the leaves that I did not like using offset fill. But you could. You'd have to put the leaves on a different layer and do those in offset mode, and then do the rest of the perimeter in flood fill. But those turned out once I put the spot size or the LPI back at the same place. Thanks, Chuck. Bob, Chicago Bob, not Chuck, for reminding me to put that back. They were the same amount of time. You didn't save any time between the two. You just had a variation in the outcome with the way that the laser did its engraving. Okay. So now, all right. Let's look at this. Turn Jesse off. He's been turned on too long. All right. Laser. All right. Now switch. So in your laser controls, and right now my laser is turned off. I'm going to turn it on. So we're going to get a little bit of noise. If I'm working, if I'm working with a brand new piece of wood, 300 by 300 millimeter square, then I'll have me a tool path. It's 300 by 300. And I'll put it in the bottom corner. And there is my material. So now when I start designing, and it's a brand new piece of wood, I can put me a square over here. Let's cut it out. And I'm going to put me a trapezoid over here or a polygon. And then maybe I do a circle right here. And I want to I'll put that over there, and I'll put this one right here. Now, I got 3 random shapes on there, and they're going to cut out in really, really strange places. And that's not something that I would ever do. But you end up, and I threw that piece across the room a minute ago, you end up inadvertently with pieces like this around your laser, and it's got some good meat on it. You don't want to throw that away because you can use that to make something, but it's like, okay, well, now that I've got this, I don't have a template on my screen that shows me where my meat's at. And if you're not using your camera, like I do not rely on my camera. God bless you if you like your cameras. When I first started using the laser, I did not have a camera. Thought I had to have a camera. I needed a camera. I made sure that every other laser I got had cameras on them. But once you get really familiar with framing with your laser, you turn your laser on while framing and using that to help you see where your material is actually going to burn. You don't need the camera. You get a lot more precise positioning using the laser on when framing and see where it's going to burn. But the difference between these 2 frames is when I've got these positioned like this and I grab all of those pieces, if you look at this screen, you see you've got this gray dot way up here. You've got this one here, here, and here. Those are your 4 corners. All 3 of those random shapes selected, LightBurn puts them in a box. And it's if I were to take just this circle and move it over here, and now I select all of them, now you can see it's more of a rectangle than a square. And when I hit this square, the box frame right here, the regular frame button, if you hold your cursor over it there, it says trace the cut boundary with the laser head, the beam disabled, speed is taken. All right. So that's going to cause your laser to move in that rectangular shape right there. It's going to go from corner to corner to corner to corner. Your laser is not going to be doing anything over here. And so if you were working with material like this and you were using your laser on when framing and you select those 3 pieces, well, if you had a piece up here in this corner and it could cut out, and you had a piece here and a piece right here, is this piece far enough away from this piece? Don't know, because whenever you've got all 3 of these selected and you tell it to frame, it's just going to frame around that rectangle. So if you are way over here with one of these and way over here with one of these, well, LightBurn draws a box around this farthest most point and this farthest most point. Then they come all the way down here to the lowest point of this one. And then it's going to scan across it, but then it's going to go all the way over here to this opposite corner. It doesn't need it. And that's what the rubber band frame is for. If with rubber band frame, it's going to, and you select the 3 and you've got one here, here, and here, instead of it drawing a frame and sending your laser out in a rectangular motion, it's going to frame here to here, around this, and then straight back up to this corner. It's not going to come all the way over here. It's going to frame around this one, come over, frame around that one, and then come down. And if this is over here off center, it's not going to come straight down. It'll come at an angle from around this one over down to an angle to this one, and then back up to an angle for this one. And they call it the rubber band frame because if you were to imagine that those pieces were proud on top of your material and you took a rubber band and stretched it around all 3 of those pieces and let go of the rubber band, that rubber band is going to conform to the perimeter of those 3 pieces. And that's the attitude that the laser is going to move in. All right. And if you have waste material and that's how you can, rubber band frame will tell you if you're going to be including waist area or that's how I use it. And then if you select just, one of them, you can check, okay, that's good. That's on the meat. That's on the meat. That's on the meat. But Kilroy, that's the difference. One is just going to frame the perimeter area of all the pieces from the outermost four corners. But then the circular frame, in fact, if you hover over it, it'll tell you trace a rubber band boundary with the laser head and with the speed and all that taken from the computer. But it's just like taking a rubber band and stretching around the pieces, and that rubber band is going to shrink in as close as it can on all of its points, and that laser is going to move in that fashion. So, Kilroy, does that help you? Does that make sense to you? Because I'm speaking directly to you about those differences. A lot of the guys and gals may already know all this, but I see a lot of threes popping up here, so maybe not. Will rubber band frame work with a DSP controller? Well, Kent, I can honestly tell you, I have no idea. I'm not a tech guru. Jack might know. Jack is a technical guy. I don't know one controller from. I don't know a what did you call it? And Jack says it will. Jack says it will. I told you Jack would know. But what'd you say? A DSP I don't know a DSP controller from an Atari 2600 console from 1985. Okay. But Jack says, yep, it will. Let's see here. Looking. Okay. Kilroy says, yes. I will have to check it out. Yes, it makes sense. Okay. All right, good. Glad I got that handled for you. Okay, yeah, okay. There. If you'd asked me if it worked with a CO2, yes, it does. And now that you say that, I do know what a DSP controller is because I got one. I just don't ever turn it on. Yep, DSP and Ruida. Yep. Okay. Now, I want to see. We talked rubber band frame and the perimeter frame. We talked about that. The fields, flood field, and offset field. Oh, I want to talk to you about another way you can use the preview screen. Let me turn the laser off. Another way to use the preview screen to keep from making some boo-boos. And these boo-boos happen when you do two things. And ask me how I know they happen. I've done it. I like to nest my material. I like to nest my pieces as tight as I can on my material so I can save as much meat as possible. I got skeletons laying everywhere. And also squirrel in LightBurn, in optimize settings, you have remove overlapping lines. And again, that's in your laser controls, optimization settings, remove overlapping lines. And you want to set your tolerance to where it's going to be, larger than your spot size, or at least about your spot size. I would do it at a 0.07, maybe a little bit less than my spot size, and say, okay. Now, if I have two rectangles and they're identical, Alt Shift H, I just butted those up against each other. Those are identical rectangles. This line on this rectangle is the same size as the line on this rectangle. You see, I just butt them up against each other. And by turning on the removing overlapping lines, and I go to my preview screen. Oh, I forgot to do something. I'm giving away something I didn't want to change that. Go back. All right. Cancel. You didn't just see that. Erase. All right. So I've just butted those two together. And now we'll go look at the preview screen. And you see the two rectangles there, or two squares. And whenever I look, and actually, you know what? I need to change how many passes so you can see this for real. And say, okay. And now preview it. When you watch these squares cut out, that's cutting the left, the top, down the right, and then across the bottom. And there's one complete square. Then the laser will jump all the way up here, does across the top, down the right, across the bottom, and it's done. Because I butted those against each other and I turned off the turned on remove overlapping lines, and I've got my tolerance set so that it will see that and recognize it. That's going to save you time on cutting stuff out. Where that's a problem, and why you should get in the habit of doing your previews on everything, because there was a perfect example. Had I just sent that job to the laser, it would have been foobar. It would not have worked because my cut setting had the kerf added to it from a previous time that I had used that laser. And for those who don't understand kerf is you're adding additional area to the piece you're cutting out to make up for the material that's getting burnt away as you're cutting the material out. Make sense? If you're using a physical saw blade that was 1/8 of an inch thick, and you tried to cut out a 1-inch square, if you cut the line, the square that come out is not going to be a 1-inch square because it's going to be missing an 1/8 inch on this side and this side. It's going to be a 1/4 inch shorter than it should be. So you would cut outside the line in order to leave a 1-inch square. That's kerf. And when you use your laser and kerf, if we go back over here you see that these would cut out and be no problem. I'd have had two perfect squares. But if you're using kerf, when you're making boxes or anything that you want a really good tight fit, and I'm going to add my kerf in here, and I'm doing an outward kerf. Well, it looks just fine here. Nothing changes. But you can see it in preview. If you go to the preview screen, you can see now, because you did an outward kerf, they are no longer overlapping lines. The laser is going to add that additional kerf outside the original size. And when you do that, there's your first square, and that'd be fine. But now when you come back, or it continues on, come on, baby, grabbed it. It goes down the right bottom, and now it comes over here. They're no longer overlapping because you added kerf. You've told it to go outside the line. And now what it's doing is it's coming back in on your first square that you cut out, effectively ruining the entire piece. So be careful when you're nesting stuff together and you're adding kerf. If you've been in the habit of nesting stuff tight together to remove overlapping lines, well, it won't work with kerf. And your project's not going to fit right. You're going to have loose fittings or no fittings. So that's, I try, even 2.5 years into lasering, I try to look at the preview screen on everything prior to sending it to the laser to make sure that it's going to give me the result I'm looking for. And also, this was just before I erased everything and you didn't see it, I was not aware that that layer had a previous outward kerf setting on it. And when I did the preview, I seen it and immediately recognized it was a problem. So get in the habit of looking at your previews before you send it to your laser, and you can see anything that might go. All right. I wonder what happened. LightBurn, we're looking. Let's see. I wonder what happened. LightBurn, we're looking on a native. You know, they had, and I don't know if it's still there or not. I used it. It didn't work so well. It did not work well at all. That and it would generate possibility after possibility, keep and giving you random options that. And by the time you found one that you liked and you could use, I can nest it faster than that third party did. It didn't work well. It didn't work well at all. Exactly, Bob. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm because I've got a new toy coming. I've got a CNC like Jack's. Well, I don't have anything like Jack's got. I've got a large router CNC that I haven't used much because I don't like any of the software out there. And I was really looking forward to MillMage when we went up to LightBurn Expo last year. And that was the whole thing. That was MillMage is coming, and we're announcing it at the expo. They didn't. They haven't. But I have a new toy coming. It's a little bitty miniature, small, itty bitty CNC. Little bitty router, little bitty thing. It's kind of like the little small, fooey Cubico, the little bitty 10-watt laser. It's a little bitty rotary, or a CNC. And I'm gonna be playing with MillMage. Don't tell nobody. Let's see here. Questions. John Thompson. On a CO2 laser, when you change the nozzle lengths, do you need to do a kerf check? I would say that anytime you changed your focal points, then yeah, I've got a CO2 and I've never changed my nozzle, so I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that. But I just from the basic operation of how lasers work, if you're changing the distance you're between you're lengthening your laser beam, then there's a good chance that you're changing the size of your spot size. But I know that's a fact when you do this with a diode, because that's why you have your focal toy, because the higher you go, you can make your beam wider, or excuse me. But by changing the tube size, that might be something again Jack can or let's see here. Jack, nope. I thought he had already answered. But maybe Jack or Chris might be able to answer John's question there. When you change the nozzle, does it change your kerf on the CO2? I've never changed my nozzle. I've still got the one that came with. And Jack says yes. Kerf will. I thought I seen he already answered it, and he did. He's like that. Yes, kerf will be different with each of the lenses. And see, look at there. See y'all. And then Chris says, yeah, nobody has a CNC like Jack. All right. I like the fact that the Cubico is a closed loop system. I like it. It's a fun little toy. Okay, now Yep. And Jack answered it. Yep. Yep. All right. Now I want to share with you something for this is not for the hobbyist. The hobbyist, you could potentially benefit from this, but if any of you are small business operators and you're trying to squeeze the most out of every single dollar, I'm going to share with you what I did when I had the automotive shop, and I still use it today. I have the Capital One Spark business card. And at the time when I was researching cards, man, back in 2000, this was the best deal going out there. And it might still be the best deal going out there because they give you 2% cash back for businesses, 2% cash back on all of your purchases, 2% cash back. And if you use that credit card, buy everything you need off Amazon, and you pay that bill back off every month, then you're saving 2%, or you've just made an additional 2% on everything you bought that you needed to make to sell stuff. Well, when I had the automotive shop, I used that Capital One credit card to pay for all of my incoming inventory, all of my tire bills, all of my automotive parts, everything. And I used it so much that I wasn't able to just pay the card off once a month. I might max it out in 10 days, then have to pay the card off, max it out, 10 days, pay it off. But by doing that, I got that 2% cash back. And I was able to get a brand new Ford pickup truck. And that monthly payment was made with that 2% cash back. That truck, honest to goodness, did not cost me a single penny because I was able to use the money that was coming back as those rewards funds. And you can actually use those rewards to either offset a purchase, credit your account, or opt for them to send you an actual check, and they'll send you a check in the mail. If you want to take a look at that, if you go to, thought I put one up here. I didn't. Go to hobowithwood.com/capital. And the reason I'm telling you about this is two reasons. One, it is a great way to save money. But if you go to, and I'll put it in the comments, if you go to https://hobo with, you gotta spell it right, hobowithwood.com/capital. If you use that link and you're a business person and you get the Capital One Spark business card and you use my link, I get paid. It's another way you could help Hobo out. And I wouldn't be bringing this because I'm not one. I don't do this. I don't push stuff at you constantly. But this is a great way for you to save money, make money. But also, if you do this and you apply for it and you get approved, I get paid just simply because you use that link. Yeah, never pay interest, Craig. That's not the way to make this card work and work for you. Is you pay that thing off. Put everything on the card. If you can, pay your utility bill on it. Pay your gas bill on it. Buy all your gas. Buy everything you want all week long with that Capital One card. And then pay it off every single week. You had the cash to pay for it. You could give the man $2 and pay for it, or you can put it on. And that's the silliest thing. You walk into McDonald's and say, give me the $1 cheeseburger, and you put it on your Capital One credit card. You know, $1.50 here and $1.50, and all week long it adds up, and then you get 2% of that cash back. You're making money. You know, especially if you pay it off. You're done. It is a no-brainer. Yep, they pay you to use the card. I lie to you not. I got a brand new Ford truck. It never cost me a penny out of my pocket. All right, now back to the lasers and what else did I want to share with you? Okay, I talked to you about the kerf, using the preview, talk that. Okay, those were the topics that I wanted to discuss with you. Is there Any questions you guys have? I'm gonna go back up here and see if I missed anything. Yep, nope, good. All right. Any questions? LightBurn related? Any design questions or issues? If not, we're going to wrap this up. We're an hour and 10. This I told you it was potentially going to be a short one. Had a long week. And these, thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. And I think I might have seen something else pop up earlier, and I didn't. Moses, yeah, sorry, Moses. Did not mean to neglect to acknowledge you. I just was in the middle of a and didn't want to get distracted by a squirrel because you know how I get. So thank you for that. I think I acknowledged the one prior to that. I think I got everybody. And maybe I did say hey to Moses or thank you, Moses. I don't know. We'll turn that off. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I did because I did say something to somebody. My brain it don't work sometimes. Sometimes. I learned a lot last week. It's not a squirrel, it's a side quest. And hey, did you get my email regarding Smoky Hill Designs? I seen you ask me about where did I get that, and I sent. But when I looked in Patreon, I didn't see that the reply went through. You asked me about the XW. I can tell you that. It's roughly 16 by 24, roughly. But exactly. Is it on there? I don't see it on the website right now. Maybe that's why you couldn't get it. Home products, MK2 to MK2. Yeah, I don't see the XW on the website. Check out the XW. There it is. Okay, there we go. So 610 by 390 if you're a metric guy or gal. But I have right now, well, not right now. I can put two of my 300 by 300 millimeter side by side, hence it's 610, or it's right at 24 inches by 16 inches. Okay, you did not. Well, check this out. Oh my! Let me get it. Gotta shake the dust off of it. Off of them. All right, so this is on Smoky, and we'll go to their website and take a look at it. But these are kind of cool. They're transparencies. If you guys and gals are old enough to remember in school when the teacher used the overhead projector and had the transparencies laid on the overhead projector, and she could write on that and it would bounce up and shine on the screen, and then she could take them and wipe off and then write some more. Well, these are that type of material that she was writing on, and Smoky Hill Designs. And I'm gonna tell you, I have never mentioned them in my stream, and this is filthy. But this is a transparency, and it's got dust all over it. But you can see all the colors. This one's like a galaxy. And then they've got a fall leaves. And these work great with the lanterns. They are laser friendly. And then I've got the Halloween design with all the bats, and I can actually see you. The bats and the skeletons. And this one's kind of cool. It's kind of a Halloween theme too. It's an old, looks like a cathedral out in a graveyard and some old, dilapidated trees. But let me pull up their website and show you where these are, because if you don't know what you're looking for, that can be a little bit complicated. Smoky Hill Designs, and they're local-ish to me. They're here in North Carolina. They're in Burlington, North Carolina. They're hour and a half, 2 hours away, and I drove up and met with them. This was prior to October last year, because they had some really cool looking stuff. So we go to their website. This is Smoky Hill Designs, smokyhilldesigns.com. And go away. That stuff I was just showing you is called pattern ply, but it's not just pattern ply. It's the pattern ply transparency. There we go. Pattern ply transparent. And they've got frosted and metallic, and they've got different transparent, but because not all pattern ply is transparent, which is that's where it gets a little bit good. Not all pattern ply is transparent. Some of them are, and you want to look for that magic word, transparent. And if we say, okay, we'll do pattern ply transparent 19 by 24s. There's all these, and it shows you there. She's holding it up through and looking at it with the sun shining through. And what she's got there is patterns that, like, that's what it would look like if you cut it out in the form of a tree or a gingerbread or a bookmark, or, you see what it would look like cut out. But they come in full sheets, 19 by 24. They are laser friendly, but they're also thin enough that you can cut them with scissors. But they are designed to work with your diodes. And they got some really cool patterns on here. But I want you to look at the price of this stuff. It's $26. $26 for one sheet. And I've got 1, 2, 3. I just showed you 4. This is, $100. It's over $100, $104. Is that right? Right here. This was the first. You see how much dust is on these things? It's because I'm like, I spent so much money, but my mom almost don't want to use them. And these were not the only ones I bought. I bought 2 or 3 others. That's expensive. It's way, way expensive. It's cool looking stuff, but if for just doing hobbies that you're making for yourself, or projects you're making for yourself and or your granddaughter, there's other alternatives that don't cost nearly as much as that can give you a pretty cool lens effect in those lanterns. You got to be taking those 16 or 19 by 24 sheets and cutting them and turning those into, $100 worth of materials. If you're using to cut little bitty earrings and you're selling the earrings for $20 a pair, then you can make some good money out of a sheet like that. But to use those to do those lanterns, you use 2/3 of that sheet just to make one lantern. That cost of production goes up for, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let's see here. Yeah, I hear you, Jack. I haven't been up there in a while. I have not been up there in a while. Jack's referring to West Penn Hardwoods. If you haven't looked at their website, you need to check them out. If you're looking for true hardwoods, it's like that. that piece I just made, I showed you in the very beginning of the stream, the tapestry holder, solid cherry, not cherry plywood, but solid cherry, and made beautiful pieces out with those. Got all that there. I can remember the smell of oh yeah, the copier machines, the photocopies. Oh yeah, yep. The mimeographs. Yep. We call it mimeograph. Yep. Uh, exactly. You sniff that right out of the yes. Yeah, I do understand, Kilroy. Little Red is it's worth it. If she's that's what she wants. Yes, I completely understand. Uh, and yes, use it to make earrings. Uh, Chris, I would only use that on very, very special projects. Yep. H&H Customs has Flex, which is similar, but quite a bit cheaper. Now, I have not looked at that, so I'm not familiar with it, but Kilroy, you might take a look at that. H&H Customs or H&H Custom and their Flex material, especially if it's a lot cheaper. But now, I went up there because I was excited. Like I said, I drove to Hickory's about the West Penn Hardwoods is about 45 minutes away for me. I like going and visiting those places and going in and get to touch and smell and feel and pick out the stuff I want. And since Smoky Hill was close enough to drive to, and they had some really cool things, I wanted to go check it out. And it's husband and wife team, and the logo is their dog, Smoky Hill Designs. I think the dog's name is Smoky. And dog's cute. She's cute. She's very sweet, very friendly. He acted like I was there to steal all of his information and put him out of business. Didn't want to talk to me. Didn't want to share anything. I just wanted to be able to talk intelligently about the product that I was going to promote. You'd thought that I was asking for the codes to the nuclear launch system. And it put me off. I'm like, okay, I'm not your competitor, and I don't want to be. And you can see I've got a YouTube channel. Here it is. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I want to feature you. And here I am featuring them, but not the way I want to do. And I have not been back, and I have not supported them since, and I will not support them again, simply because I just didn't like the way I was put off. All right. Any other questions? And I'm glad I followed up with you about that, Kilroy, because I did send that to you in an email. But when I looked at the Patreon thread, I did not see that reply go through Patreon. So it might be in an inbox or a spam box, but not through Patreon. Yeah, looking at H&H. I'll have to check them out too. It might be something I might be interested in. What email did I send it to? I honestly don't even know. Because I just hit the reply button. Whenever you ask me where did it come from, I just hit reply and send it right out to you. I actually sent you a link to these transparencies at Smoky Hills. So I don't know. Because whatever email you sent me, and that's what was weird, because if the email came to me, if it came to me through Patreon, which looked like it did, the reply should have been in Patreon, and it wasn't. So there may have just been a breakdown in the salt or the electronics somewhere. Well, Midnight, you were a little bit late apparently to the show, but I'm happy to share with you. Today was a good day. Midnight's asking how. Oh, that's not Midnight. Midnight's asking how the house is going. I plan to be working on to work on the house this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today. I'm against a hard deadline, and I only got to work on it today. But I had help come today. I had help show up today, and we got the electrical done. Actually, you know what? I take that back. They were here last night too. We worked last night, got the electrical done. 90% of the electrical done. Still not hot. Electrical's done. All the wires run to the boxes, and just got to put the fixtures in. And then the power's there. I just got to splice it together. Electrical's done practically. I got the shower surround 90% complete today. The rest of I'm using a pocket door, and I got that pocket door all but finished and framed in. I'm going to work on the flooring tomorrow and get I'm actually doing 2 rooms, the bath, and then the full bath comes out into what's going to be a laundry room / mud room. And every bit of that's going to be one big new floor. And that feeds into the bathroom. And I've got to get the flooring down in the bathroom in order to set the sink and the vanity and get the plumbing finished. So I'm going to be working on the flooring tomorrow. But a lot of progress made this week. I had hit a major roadblock, and just financially and motivationally, I just could not do it. But a lot of progress made last night and today. So on H&H, John says Flex is $12 a sheet. But it's 12 by 19. Well, if it's 12 by 19 and theirs is 24 by 19, then it's half the size and half the price. So it's not any cheaper. It's not any cheaper. Unless you just only need, if you don't need that much material. I just ordered that same new toy you mentioned a bit ago. Yeah, it does. I'm excited about that. One more thing about using rewards cards and paying them off weekly or at least monthly, that will drive your credit score up in no time. It don't matter if I'm getting paid, because if that's the only card I've got and the only card I'm using, and the more I used it, they didn't care. They kept upping my credit and upping my credit and upping my credit, because I would hit it would like you can affect your credit score, because if you have if you're worried about your credit score and it sees that you're carrying a high pay limit on that card, if you're carrying $20,000, it looks like you're carrying $20,000 limit all month long, but you're hitting 10 or 12 and then paying it off, hitting 10 or 12 and paying it off. Yeah, it can do some screwy things with your credit score. But dude, if you're getting back 2%, and like I said, I was getting back anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a month in 2% rewards. I didn't care about my credit score. I didn't need to worry about my credit score. I had everything else I needed. I was just using that. I was playing their game. I like the way you can work on electrical in the U.S. Technically, we have all right. Any more questions? Any more questions? We're an hour and a half in. We're at 90 minutes. And I do appreciate you guys being here tonight. I hope that, like I said, that flood fill, especially on perimeter engravings, it can save you a ton of time. If you were late to the stream and you did not see the demonstration on the flood fill, you've got to rewatch this. You've got to go back and watch it. Oh, it's been a while, but I'm here. Well, Ashra, I appreciate you, but you're here for the sign off. But I promise you, there was some good information in this. What is the purpose of invert in the preview screen? I don't know. I know what it does. You know what? I take that back. I think where that comes in handy is whenever you're doing an engraving, like when I do a mirror. It's been so long since I did that lion. I really loved that lion. It turned out really, really cool and really nice. And that's backlit. But when you're doing a mirror, you're actually engraving the negative on the mirror. So when you do the invert, I guess it's showing you what it's going to be looking like once it's done. I think that was the only time I've ever used the invert function was when I was doing that. I think it's been so long though, I don't remember. Maybe either Chris or Jack could tell you times or two that they've found that's in there. That's what this is what this community's for. We all help each other. But you guys use that invert in preview for any other reason, or am I even wrong in remembering that's beneficial when doing the mirrors? No, it's not for the rotary. All it's doing, the invert is showing you the negative of the image. File, recent. Actually, you know what? I don't even do that. Go to the art library and we'll grab that, bring that in here, and go over here. So there's my army badge. And if I go to preview, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding, ding dong, ding dong, ding, 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 ding dong, ding dong. There is my image. Turn off those traversal moves. So that's what I would see just doing a burn on a piece of wood. And if I could have just stayed there, didn't have to undo that. I could have just said, go back to that preview. Now it's going to calculate it all again. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding. So there it is. That's the engraving on wood. And then the invert is just showing you the negative result. And Craig, I think that's what I would do is when I'm wanting to do when my mirrors. I think it was it would depend. I didn't use it. That wasn't an invert, but I have used it when engraving a mirror. Let's see if anybody's chimed in here. I feel you, Ashra. I feel you. Boy, do I feel you. What is the name of the software for the new toy? Well, the new toy says that it can work with anything that uses Gerbil. But I've got my hands on a bootleg copy of Milmage, and I'm going to be trying to play with Milmage and see what it does and what it can do with its limit. The early version I've got and see what it's like. I don't know how well it may or may not work with LightBurn. I don't know yet because I ain't got it. Don't know what it's going to do, but I'm going to be intentionally trying to learn to use that Milmage and then push the issue. What happened? Is it still coming? It seems like, I get that other things priorities come up, but it's been over a year. It's going on, 2 years and still nothing. Yeah, don't forget. In fact, let's just do that just for the heck of it. Like, share, and subscribe. Go gold for the Patreon. That's in here somewhere. At least I thought it was. Don't know. Don't see it. All right, back to comments. Flex is 0.05. It is half the cost, but it's half the size, Roger. So being half the size at half the cost, it's the same cost. Ain't it? Hobo is easier if you start over instead of rewatching. I don't quite follow that one, Greg. Hobo is easier if you start. Oh, no, I ain't starting over. If that's what you're talking about, I ain't starting over. You can rewatch it. Oh, invert is for working with binary materials. I don't even know what you're talking about, Chris. Binary materials, two different types of materials. No, thank you, Roy. Thank you. Oh, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to show you something else, and I got sidetracked by squirrel. Got something else to show you guys that are still here. Gillette says, I think invert also helps to see the details you might have missed. Also doing inlays, maybe. Got an idea. I got an idea. Invert is good for binary materials like slate coasters. I'm not familiar with that terminology, binary materials. Brad says painted coasters and mirrors. Yeah, and that's what I thought. I used it with the mirror. Chicago Bub says I use invert for photos on business cards. To be honest, I never use the preview. I invert the image in GIMP if I'm engraving a black surface. Yeah, and I yeah. Jonathan saying the invert button is used to change the preview to make the lasered areas light. Yeah, you're. Yeah, because I don't think that even when you knew I'm using the inverted image in the mirrors, it wasn't from clicking on the invert and preview. That's just inverting the image in preview itself. Kilroy says, I broke the Smoky Hill website. Binary is where binaries where engraving will be lighter than the material as opposed to. Okay. All right. You follow that, Greg? That would be beneficial. Now I understand. Boop, light bulb went off. So what Chris is saying there, Craig, yeah, you got it. Okay. So with the slate, which is a dark material, and your laser is burning it, well, it's going to create that lighter image. So you can invert the image and see what it's going to look like in preview when you. Chris gets a cookie. Chris gets a cookie. All right. But whenever you're doing the invert for the mirror, I think that's actually in the layers, the layer setting. I think it's been so long since I've done mirrors. Advanced, no. Maybe it ain't. Maybe it's not. I thought, but anyway, yeah. You broke. Kilroy broke Smoky Hill's website, and Craig broke Hobo. All right, and guys, I will never be a fountain of knowledge. A fountain of knowledge is a terminology and a description I learned from a former employer who said, never be a fountain of knowledge. Someone who's just spewing information out there, whether it's right or it's wrong. They're just talking about it to be talking about it, even though they may be 100% off basis. They're going to talk about it because they want to be talking about something Nah, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. A lot of people mistake invert and mirror as being exactly the same. Yeah, no, yeah, no. Okay. I about forgot it again. Okay. So these are the stack of t-shirts and that's going out to everybody that was in on the YouTube promotion back in last fall. And I've got a few extras because let me show it to you. You guys, I know without a doubt there's going to be somebody after this second round of t-shirts goes out, and should have been the final round of t-shirts goes out. Somebody's going to go, hey, I didn't get my t-shirt after I've said for 4 months, send me your information. So I've got a few extras here to fulfill those that didn't follow instructions any of the 20 times that they were given. And the t-shirts that are going out in this promo is, instead of the Hobo with wood t-shirt, they say Hobo Nation Laserologist. Hobo Nation Laserologist. And they're really, really supple t-shirts. These are for the ladies. You can make these your sleep, night shirts. And they are super, super comfortable. But I finally got this up and going this week. If we go back over to here and go back to here and go back to here, and I switch you over so you can see it on the hobowithwood.com website. Bump, ba-da-da-bum, apparel. I've got the original t-shirts. Check out my wood, Hobo with Wood. Now, there's going to be a few people out there that are going to be offended by the shirt that says check out my wood. And then there'll be some that'll find it tickles their little funny bone. And the fact that it says Hobo with Wood, 90% of the people aren't going to know that I'm Hobo with Wood. But how many people are walking around wearing a Michael Jordan jersey? Now, I ain't saying I'm Michael Jordan. I might be the Scottie Pippen of lasers, but not Michael Jordan of lasers. Not yet. I'm still learning. Maybe the Muggsy Bogues. I'm the Muggsy Bogues of lasers. So maybe you'd want to wear one of my jerseys. Well, I've got all of these shirts, and these are shirts that I have in stock and ready to order. And the way that this is set up, they all have that same logo right there. Check out my wood, Hobo with Wood. But these are just color images so you can see the colors. So this is that purple. This is that royal blue. They're all short sleeves. And then, the size. Short sleeve, large and black, charcoal, purple, and you can see all the different colors. And there's over 2 pages, lots and lots of pages. And these are, in case somebody says, man, I would like to have had one of the others. Well, those were special promos that were done during a giveaway for YouTube. But if you wanted to check out my wood t-shirt, you can grab one of those that's already here. Nothing to have to wait on us. You place the order in Hobo with Wood. I'll put it in a box and send it to you. And I've got hats coming. I've got ball caps coming. The Hobo with Wood. Check out my wood. It'll be the same original. Check out my wood. Or did I do Hobo Nation? I can't remember what I did because I do too much. Anyway. The lion. Let me see if the battery's any good in there. Oops. Now, just for giggles, just because you asked for it. About dropped the battery on the mirror. That would have been terrible. I need to do this to get these dead batteries out of here so they don't ruin that. And this really is cool. Oops. Come on. All right. Now. Da, 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 da. So you can get the full effect. Ain't he awesome? He is wicked. And I want to make him roar at you. He's cool. All right. So that was for John and for me. I need to get those dead batteries out of there. All right, let's see here. Da, 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 da. The ones that get offended can get a helmet. There you go. We had a court rule that comedians during a performance. Well, that's awesome. You know, and that's the way it should be. It truly is. I miss the day. I miss offensive comics. I miss Gallagher. I miss Eddie Murphy. I miss Richard Pryor. I mean, in your face, offensive, and call you stupid and everything else right to your face, insult you and your mama, and you laugh until your sides are splitting. Yeah, I miss those. Now, oh no, you called my puppy a hoe. I'm so upset. Get over it, you douche. Yeah, I miss those days. And what I see you saying, Jack says, Hobo's the Bob Ross of LightBurn. You know, I started to get a Bob Ross wig for Halloween and do that just for grins and giggles. Be the Bob Ross of lasers for Halloween. But I didn't have money to spend, so I didn't. Questions, comments, questions, comments, questions, comments, questions, comments. Yeah. Chevy Chase, Richard Pryor. Yeah. Now I'll tell you what too, though. Another one that I absolutely and I hate that he turned out to be the person that he turned out to be. But when I was a really, really young one and just getting introduced to comedians, Steve Martin, love Steve Martin stand up. But I actually enjoyed Bill Cosby's stand up and the way he talked about his stuff was clean. He just turned out to be a pervert. Yeah, George Carlin was good too. Yep. I liked it. All right, guys. We done. Yeah, and you know what, too, Chris? Chris says the basis of comedy is there's got to be a perpetrator and a victim. I miss the day, and I don't know, Chris, if you have this issue uh, down under, but Johnny Carson, late night with Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I can remember as a teenager and Johnny Carson. I don't care who was in the presidential office; they were fair game. He would make fun of anybody and everybody, and didn't matter their political party, their association, whatever. He was going to make fun of them and make a joke. They were going to be the butt of the joke. Now you've got jerks and I used to really enjoy watching Steve Colbert on the Late Show, whatever it's called. But he is so hateful. He's not funny. It's one thing to not like what you see and make a joke out of it. He's just in attack mode. I get it. You don't like Trump. Fine. Well, make a joke out of something that he's done, but he's just attack. It's not a comedy show anymore. Now you're being a political show, and you're supposed to be my dancing monkey. Here's your penny. Go dance for me, you monkey. I don't want to listen to I don't want to hear your opinion. I want you to make me laugh. So I miss the days of Johnny Carson and even with Jay Leno. Jay Leno did the same thing. They'd pick and joke and make fun of anybody but not with hate. I got no room for that in my life. Nope. All right. Yeah, Gillette says his jokes were clean. He just wasn't. Yeah, he was a perv. Talking about Cosby. Oh yeah, got it. It's a mad world. And wasn't he in that along with everybody else? Everybody was in that. I'm pretty sure Don was in that. Now I loved that. Was a good movie. Robin Williams, yeah. I hate Robin went out the way he did, but that's a common theme you see with these guys, the comedians, that can be so funny and so on, but in the real world, in the real life, they're down, depressed. They're hiding their hurt in their humor and their stand up, and end up taking their own path. Yeah, Chris says he'd hate to be a lawyer for SNL. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, Norm was good. Norm Macdonald. Yeah, I enjoy him. All right. Don Rickles is a hockey puck. Okay. Most of the people have already jumped off here. Now we're just sitting here chewing the fat, and I'm fine with that. I'm here just chuckling with you, and I've shared with you what I came to share with you this week. I got a lot done this week, and for those who are still here but were late, I just want to show you this because I'm really, really proud of this. Like I said, this was from my aunt who just lost her husband. This turned out to be a really, really, really beautiful piece. I'm really, really happy with it. And I'm going to show it off again for those who haven't seen it. Load. Okay. So she had what do you want a blanket? Uh, I forget the proper name for it now. My brain just shut off. Uh, but it's got her and her husband on there, and she wanted to hang it on the wall, and I designed this hanger, and it turned out so wickedly awesome. Uh, and that's solid oak, I think it was 3x5, 5 feet long oak slats in the back and cherry on top, and then got that clamp between them, and it's turned out really, really nice. Got that done this week and got that delivered to her today. And she was really touched by it and pleased with it. So it was good. It was a good day. It was a good week. Hope you guys had a good week. Hope you have a good weekend. 2020, the year we went stupid. I hear you. Yeah, they made fun of politicians and not a single political party. Yeah, they don't even make fun anymore. Now they just spew hate. You know, and I meet with family members the first of the month, and there's a family member who is as far left. I kind of think of myself kind of a little bit more of a centralist that leans a little bit more right, but I'm open to talking to folks and understanding your point of view and help trying to maybe I can try and meet you halfway. But he's as far left as you can get. You can't get any more left than him. And it was an experience talking with him at this week's get together, and he said, "Well, that's just not right." And I said, "Wait a minute. You don't agree with it. That doesn't mean it's not right. It's not right for you. Doesn't mean it's not right. Also doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that you're wrong." And I honestly don't believe in right or wrong. Now there's illegal and legal, but when it comes to right or wrong, it's like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. It goes back to what I've said before about there being multiple realities going on at the same time. It's not a situation of multiverses like they talk about in the comic strips, but there are, honest to God, multiple realities happening at the exact same time. Your experiences are your reality, and they are as real for you as they can possibly be. But if I've never experienced it, never happened, I can't even relate to what you've seen or gone through. That's not my reality, and I cannot relate to it. But that doesn't mean that it's not a true reality, and it's your reality. And what's right for you is not always right for me, and vice versa. And that's why I say I don't believe in right and wrong. I believe in illegal and legal, but I do believe in good and evil. There's good and evil, and there's plenty of evil in the world. And the evil stems from, and going to be a lot of hate behind it too. So, but I'm not going to. When someone disagrees with me politically or whatever, I don't fight with them. But when someone is an obstructionist and just wants to be negative for being negative, just so that I don't get my way, or we can't even talk about meeting in the middle, you're just going to be an obstructionist because it's not your way. Then I'm going to call you on it, but I'm going to call you on being an obstructionist. And, and there's too many of those in our politics. We don't have enough people communicating. V says, "What kind of wood did you use for your heart jig?" My Baltic birch. All those heart jigs that went out with people who ordered, and I've got a few of those left. I got Kent. I think Kent ordered the last set of 10, but all of my skeletons that I have laying around, put down my kitty cat. I will grab these skeletons. In fact, let's see. No, that's not one. But here, this is a perfect example. This is a skeleton from my memorial benches, and this was up here was material that wasn't used for the benches. But I'll grab that skeleton, and I used that to make three sides of a box the other day. So I'll grab my skeletons and use those to cut out the jig and weld them up. But this is my 3mm, give or take, Baltic birch, anywhere from 2.8, 3.1 Baltic birch. Yeah, he used to call people hockey puck all the time. Yes, I remember that now. Yep. Jim's got your crystal heart jig now. How to use it? Now, a lot of possibilities. Let your imagination go wild. Tapestry. Thank you, Teresa. Yes. Tapestry hanger. Thank you, V. I was really happy with that, and she loved it. Put that flag case back up. Okay. Oh, you know what? And I'll show you all that. I'll show you. There's just a few of us still here. I'm going to show you how easy that thing is to do. Pull that flag case back up. I got to do a name plate for one. I have not seen her case yet. All right. Well, when you fold those flags in the military style, they're shaped like, a paper football. You remember those you made in high school or junior high school? Or maybe you made them last week sitting at the bar. I don't know. But they get folded into the shape of a triangle, and it's got a right triangle on it, or right angle on it, 90-degree angle. And then if a triangle has got 180 degrees in it, and that one's a 90, then the other two have got to be 45s. So it goes 45 and 45 is 90 plus the 190 degree. And you 180, that's all your angles in your triangle, right? Right. So if we go over here to, and I'll pull that image back up real quick like you asked. Let's see. Not there. No. There and there. Switch. So this is at a 45, which matches this 45, and this matches this. And I went with an 1.5 inches tall, or an inch. It's either inch and a half or 1 3/4 inches. But check out how easy this is. This is so simple, so easy. And there's always more than one way to do things in LightBurn. But this, I've been trying to utilize scissors as much as possible. And if we go over here to LightBurn, and I said, you know what? I need a square or a rectangle. And I made it 10 inches. Let's go to inches. I made it 10 inches by 1.75 inches. And I needed to have those 45-degree angles on there. I drew my pencil tool out, and I just drew a straight line. That was going to be long enough. And I grabbed that, and I popped it right there in the corner. Then with my anchor position in the bottom center, I told it to rotate 45 degrees. And that kept my anchor point at the bottom since I was at the bottom center. Duplicate that by hitting Control-D. Then mirror it, hold my shift button, align to the right, grab my scissors, cut that off, cut that off, cut that off, and cut that off. And now that piece is going to fit right in the bottom of that display case, because I went to Hobby Lobby's website and got the measurements of their display cases to see, because the one thing I didn't like about what she was doing with the one she was having a local trophy shop engrave a little bitty brass plate that you had to get up on it and hold it here to even read it. And so I wanted it to be large enough that it can be seen from sitting on when it's sitting on the hearth or wherever it's sitting. And so it's 10 inches long and 1 3/4 of an inch. It's not so big that if it covers up a single stripe it's only cover up just that, about a single stripe. So bu- 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 I may not always be right, but darn if I'm never wrong, that's right. And that's what's wrong with a lot of politicians. I'm never wrong, and your way is never right. Um, question marks. I see the T2 toolpath and the red cut line. So do I need no? Uh, do I make T2 a cut layer or what? On which what are you looking at? Are you which design are you looking at? I use the toolpath, that T2 toolpath. That's usually just a 300 by, if it's one of my designs you've downloaded, that's typically just a 300 by 300 toolpath. That's the size of the material that 90% of us work with. If that's what you're referring to, Jim. And it's just a toolpath. It's totally irrelevant if you don't need it. Oh, with the crystal hearts. All right. Let's pull that up because a few of you may not seen the jig and how I use it. So files, recent projects, paper, jigs, heart paper. There we go. All right, switch. All right. So when you get the jig from me, I will send you an actual jig. You don't have to make the jig, but if you wanted to, here are the layers. There's the top layer and then 3 layers of this. And the reason there's a variance in them is these 3 layers right here allow for the wedge shape of the crystal to jack that up and then make it sit level within that jig. And when you engrave, you want to make sure that if I grab all this, I'm gonna group all that together and I'll put it on a red layer for a second. And I'm gonna center it up over this one. You see how this area of the jig is underneath that top layer? Well, if you were to put an image when you're engraving this clear crystal, um, oh, I had that flipped. If that part of the image was down here and those 3 lower layers were underneath an area you're going to engrave, it will cause an adverse effect. You'll get an engraving on the top because of the tape. And then where the laser is bouncing off of that wood underneath, it'll engrave on the bottom side and create a terrible effect. So stay away from that area. And I don't talk about that because you want to probably leave about a ½ inch area around that heart anyway to make your design look good. But take that out of here and well, actually, we just undo. So that's how it comes to you. You'll have those. So if you want to cut them out, you can. But here it is. And the idea, okay, this is a fully glued up. This is the actual piece that I just sent you. And you can put it in the bottom corner in your home position of your laser if you're using a Rolly or anything that uses bottom left for your home position. Put that in there, drop your crystal heart right in there, and work with your artwork that's going to be centered up kind of like so in your heart, whatever you want to be in there. And you're going to put that on your black layer. And the black layer that I have here has the settings that I recommend for those crystal hearts. 180 millimeters a minute and 61% power. Those are the speed and power that I found with the 10-watt diode to give the best results with that crystal. So I sent you, if you bought 10 and got one free, you got one free one that you can play with if you want to test your preferred speed and power settings. And that's what the free one's there for. But if you just want to try my settings, see what it was like, then hey, you got one for free. And no, Jim, thank you for your support. And I've got more stuff coming. Those, though, the crystal arts, I've got a few left. Web, laser blanks, crystal hearts. So I've got 128 of those left. So if someone was buying 10, get one free, there's 10 orders left. But you don't have to buy 10. You can buy one or two. And I'm happy to send those out. But only when you buy 10 and get one free do I actually send you a physical jig that you don't have to cut out and make yourself and all that. And you still got time to get those and get them. And it was getting close for Valentine's Day. Getting really close. Yeah, and depends on the artwork, Chris. Chris is saying, you could do an offset, and that would help give you, an even border all the way around. But it depends on the design you go with. An offset is a great way to keep a uniform boundary or help size your artwork. But if you were doing something that was not heart shaped, then maybe it can afford to go a little bit out that way or a little bit out that way. But I will give you the tools and some information and knowledge that I can share with you. But when it comes to doing the design work and the artwork, I'm trusting folks know know enough to do that. All right, we're gonna call it. No more questions. No more questions. Questions. Last call. Last call. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Hobo equals Cupid. Yeah. The only thing that's got a date this Valentine's my milk. All right. Well, guys, thank you for your support. I'm gonna be laying some wood tomorrow. I'm gonna be laying planks, laying flooring all day tomorrow. Yay! I have no idea what next week holds. Thankful to see tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for hanging out. And y'all have a good rest of your weekend. And we will see you soon. Peace.